go emela kwa motsudi ke utlwa phutego e simolla ke tla jana le ga morwa re dipotso di nna pedile tsa me di nne tse ke tlang ke di nota ke ntse ke le mo tseleng ke gore ke ne ka utlwa tautona bua ka gore go tla be gona le go thorwa ga di mine go bulelwa mining tourism ke ne ke bidiwa Patial Sabelo Segale Botswana Television na tautona tlhalosa ka go re go tla nna le touring of mines like tourism ya di mine potso e be nna gore a se se raela gore go thoriwa ga di mine go tla letlwa batho gore ba tle gaufi le go tshwara temane ka satla go thusa gore go tsala lenyora la go itse gore re ka dira eng ka temane ka gore re bona hale ga nke be re tshwara le gone go itse tshwarwa ke ba ba e tshwara makaka gore go tlisa masego a kana ka mo matshelong a bona so re ka eletsa gore le rona gongwe to that level re khone re dire jalo gongwe le tsone di journalist ba nne teng go rutiwa go bapatsa temane go rutiwa go kwala ka boleng ba temane e wela jalo even then be tautona bua ka go processiwa ga ke di gantse se tseng ke le di atlhagala go morago bua ka go processiwa ga di minerals mo gae potso ke gore tautona a se se ra gore le di temane tsa Lucara le tsone di tlabe di le part of tse di processiwa mo gae pele ga di ka emel ha go di mo ga ho le government o ikella go le kae go review di conditions tsa license ya mining wa Lucara gore a khwana tse sizable share ya di temane tsa Lucara ska ra nna di spectator ka ntera nna ba re tsa tax hell engwe ya bofelo e bena fuel refinery a ka go le kwa Angola a ga wa ka wa le ka go bua le bone ka khanya fuel gore re leke go hokotsa manokonoko a re nna lona fuel ya bofelo ke tla teketsa kwa morago ga ile re tlantetla
ke tla go leta morwa yo mongwe gape mo thobise jaaka ke buile potso tse pedi maximum right e tla re second round ha ona no na le tshese go potso tse tharo kana tse nne o tla tlo di tsenya gore di tle di kgona go tlhatlogelana sentle e be di arabesega gape sentle ke a leboga.
Wonderful. Good morning, Mr. President. Actually, good afternoon, late afternoon, Mr. President. I hope the winter is taking you precisely, warmly, and less vigorously on you. My question, I'm from, my name is Rosanta Misiana. I'm from UB Radio. I'm also a UB student. I wanted to ask that you had mentioned that you were in talks to advocate for a tariff-free Botswana and US agreement. So what I wanted to ask is, with constant ambushes that the President of the United States is famous for, what potential obstacles exist in negotiating for a tariff-free trade, and how do you how do you prepare to combat that? As they say, there's 1,000 ways of killing a cat. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could prepare two microphones for the other side, please. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Duma FM. Tautona, I always doubted the story of the judo. I suppose I should now believe that indeed you are a judoka or a former judoka. But I've got just a couple of questions here, Mr. President. We've had goodwill before as a country. We've been here before. You talk about goodwill towards our diamonds, but our diamonds are not doing very well this year. How long before we start seeing this goodwill that we talk of begin to benefit the country? And I'm also quite happy that you still talk boldly about the 3-year transformation or radical transformation plan. What will be the milestones? What is it that we should be on the lookout for to say the president is well on his way to the radical transformation that he's talking about? Let's not forget that before you've actually addressed the media and talked about 100 days. The 100 days passed without you at any point accounting for anything within those 100 days. Yet you are the one who actually you are the one who volunteered the information. So to avoid having to speculate, like you say, we often speculate. What should we be on the lookout for to say the president is well on his way to actually achieving the radical transformation of within these 3 years that he's talking about? Thank you.
Thank you, Luito.
Dumelang, Nakepako Levanna from Bopa. My question to the president is the need for diversification away from diamonds has been noticed for decades now. Scholars have spoken about it, politicians from different sides of the political divide. and interventions, or rather, there's been effort towards finding investment, certainly since the turn of the century, the first Magai years. Is there concerted effort now to sort of look for niche areas, say soda ash and its byproducts, agro-Zambezi and Panamatenga, agro-processing and agriculture, leather, sort of trying to actually target certain niche industries which within a year or two or within a few years can definitely tangibly bring new sources of revenue to the country and also create employment. Because casting the net wide open has been done a lot in the past 20 to 30 years. And sometimes it leads to a wild goose chase. Sometimes investors do come, but sometimes they don't. So is there now a concerted effort to sort of start looking for tangible niche areas where the country now, through maybe CESA infrastructure, can start investing? And thank you.
Thank you, PK. Komotso. Yeah.
Dumelang, ke bidwa Khomotso Mapane, Botswana Television. I think my questions, I'm going to expound a bit on what they had to say. We talk about the Botswana being a proper model of a triple P that we can replicate across all sorts of sectors. We are a shareholder at De Beers. What are we learning and what have we learned when we talk about radical transformation in moving forward when we issue new mining licenses, such that when we talk about diamonds, it's not to the exclusion of Lucara. When you talk about, be it coal or whatever mineral it is, what have we learned through these agreements, through these expertise, such that we are able to take those into new mining licenses? Secondly, again, talking about having this precious stone that we talk about that has transformed millions of lives. When are we going to get to a point where we actually do have a museum where we can actually see the diamond itself and not the frag that we talk about? We know at some point there was the Millennium Dome in London and there was a diamond there, but they don't have diamonds. So I'm just curious to find out when, as we go on this transformation journey, when do we begin to see some of these things and are we pushing for some of these things?
Thank you, Motso. Next.
Good afternoon.
Okay, please, just one question so that we allow the president to respond. You are the sixth.
All right, thank you. My name is Rosina Pomapi. And in the one question I have, it's the address when the Excellency was talking about having a judo center at Godugui, a training center at Godugui. Is this an indication that in Botswana now we're starting to seriously look at sports and sport tourism as an avenue to diversify the heavy reliance that we have on diamonds? And I'm hoping that in the second round I'll be able to ask my second question, as that's the one I had. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pumape. Mr. President.
Mine tourism. The agreements or prospects that we have involve teams of those involved in the jewelry industry on our diamonds, coming in groups. Some have actually come before. And the reason we realized that there's an opportunity here is that these people that have come in the past, few as they are, were so impressed with the state of the mine itself, the processes, the expertise, and the locals that are involved, that they only have very good things to say to their friends. And we felt then that if we opened up this avenue and facilitated scores of them coming to see the mining, experience it, and then pair it with other aspects of our tourism, that would be a great opportunity. Whether our people will touch and access diamonds, I think the idea that the last question raises of a museum, diamond museum, there's a whole beautiful story to be told, shared, and experienced about our diamonds, what they mean, where they found the country, where they have brought the country to. And we need to chronicle and have this available. We have not done so. It's an opportunity for us to. And so at that museum, our people and many others will then be able to experience the story of diamonds and even get to have some touch and feel of the diamond. And so this will also enable us to teach ourselves, teach each other about our diamonds. When I was in the US, I met a young Botswana whose story is also very inspiring. His journey into the diamond space. He's been through all sorts of trials and tribulations. And his story is a story of tenacity, of resilience, of failure. He failed, he rose, and I think he lived out the adage by that Irish playwright Samuel Beckett, says, try, fail, try again, fail better. So each time he was failing better. He's now at a point where he has hit some success. And he has some brilliant idea, young Botswana. And his story also records frustration at the ineptitude of many of our institutions and individuals who could not see the opportunities, the prospects that were presented by his ideas, and who therefore did not support. But he succeeded in spite of all these hurdles. So we have young people emerging in this space. And he went all the way to Kwe, to all these other far-flung places, and brought ordinary people to Gaborone at great personal cost, trained them in cutting and polishing and handling diamonds. Failed, sent them back. When things improved, he went and fetched them and brought some more from the disadvantaged communities. Those are the people that he has empowered. Those are the people that he works with. And those are the people whose life stories add value, immense value to the natural stone. And so when you market on the back of these lived realities of these people, flesh and blood individuals, you tug at the heartstrings of the consumer. And that's what marketing is. And this is an opportunity we've not taken advantage of. Now we must. Local processing, look. I was talking to the president of Gabon day before yesterday, who also looks to Botswana for support and leadership because he believes there's a new breed of leaders that is emerging in Africa. And he says he has given all the companies in his country up to 2027, that by then all processing of minerals will be done in country. We say, we invite the investors and we say to them, it would be very good for you. It would be a very solid, sound, and profitable business model if you bring your facilities into the country and train our people, create jobs, and pay them. And this is becoming potent. We will move in a sure-footed way, not recklessly and haphazardly, but we will get to a point where the country will derive maximum benefit from its mineral resources. We will do this. Sometimes, you know, you are careful when you deal with some of these things. You know, in Botswana, there's this saying, "Koratela pirika matlo." You don't wear your red clothes and start dancing. Sometimes you keep quiet. It is the space between the bars of a cage that contains the tiger. Sometimes leave this space of the unsaid, so that when you say, it happens. We will get there. And the ultimate goal is that Botswana must derive the highest value from its mineral wealth. Lucara, does government intend to take a stake? Lucara is a business. Often when you go into business, you look at the business model, the prospects, because you are going into business in order to get returns on whatever investments you put in. And government is now taking an approach of assessing every investment opportunity. And if government takes the view that this is a lucrative space for government to invest in some shape or form, government will create the vehicle to invest, but it must make commercial sense to government. And in business, you don't assume. You work on facts, you work on data. So if the data says come in, government will find a way of coming in. And at a different level, let me put it this way. One of the critical problems we've created for ourselves as a country is this. What is the country's business plan? When you go out and market Botswana, what are you marketing? What exactly are you looking to achieve? You are reliant on diamonds. Your next revenue earner is tourism, and then you tax people. Those are your only revenue sources. If you were thinking like a business person, you would say, what other sources of revenue can I identify and cultivate so that I'm not overly reliant on these? That's the first thing you need to do. Have we done that over the years? No, we haven't. So when people say investors were attracted, they were invited, what were you inviting them to come and do? Your own plan, your own structure. So you're operating without any concept, in an amorphous way. Because you are a believer in what? Market fundamentalism, that they come here and the market will regulate, some neoliberal claptrap like that. No. You've got to have your own structure, your own plan. Your business plan as a country. Where do you make your money from? Aside from diamonds, aside from tax, aside from tourism, in the crude and overly simplistic manner in which it works. Where? So we need to identify new sources of revenue for the country. Those that are there already, we need to find out whether they are being optimally utilized. Tourism. People come, we want to send them to the Okavango. There's the Tuli block. There are other places. There's cultural tourism. Then the CKGR, all over the country. Have we developed these as potential revenue earners and basis for the empowerment of our people? Have we done this? No, we haven't. We must all admit. So we have an opportunity yet to do these things. So we need to have a business plan for the country. The country must have. In Estonia, you have what they call e-citizenship. You don't need to be there, but you are an e-citizen. You are a virtual citizen. You pay. There's money. Trump is now saying you must pay $5 million, is it? To have a golden card. He is a businessman. He's exploring revenue streams that may never have been thought of before, that are new, that may be radical, some of them somewhat unusual. So the country must think this way. The country has bills to pay. It has people to take care of. How is it going to take care of these people if it is not seeking new income streams? This is the problem. That's one. The second is, we are content to consume in the here and now. We never think about, as a country, you tell people, save for rainy days. As a country, what have you done? How much have we invested in the future of the generations that are still coming? These diamonds belong to the current generation. They also belong to generations yet unborn. What are we putting aside for them? So when we raise the concept of a sovereign wealth fund, we are raising it seriously, forcefully, because we need to secure the future of those that are coming. Let's not think only of ourselves. We are borrowing now against whose future? When these debts fall due, we may not be there. They will have to pay. And if we haven't prepared the ground for them and left them some inheritance in a sovereign wealth fund that is functioning, then we would have failed as a generation that was given the reins of leadership. So we need to do that. So we need to bring targeted investments. Where? Agriculture. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. How has our agriculture performed over the years with all these subsidies and all the assistance? It has performed poorly. And people say, no, let's continue Majai Tsuleta or Majai Tsuputsa. No. There's no Majai Tsuputsa. Let's reflect on how we've funded the agriculture in this country. Has it worked? Let's reflect on this. The better for us then to fashion appropriate interventions that can be self-sustaining. And you're asking me about some of the deliverables, exactly that, in part. One, I've said BMC must be up and running by the end of this year. That's concrete. I've said Botswana Agricultural Marketing Board must be up and running profitably by the end of this year, 2025. I've said Air Botswana must be profitable by the end of 2025. I've said Botswana Railways must be profitable by the end of 2025. We go to 100 days. What did I say I was going to do in the 100 days? I said I was going to stabilize. And sometimes it's not for me to say. I leave it for others to judge. I tell you what I'm going to do and I do it. I inherit a dysfunctional judicial system. What do? Step in boldly. Take decisive measures to claw back the integrity of the judiciary. That's stabilizing. That's sending a clear message of boldness to the world. To say, this judiciary, which was once respected with the likes of Austin Amisa, Akintola Aguda, the Justice Pakrins, the Maysels, and many others. It must get back to that level of respect, if not higher. It must move away from a famished jurisprudence. It must be robust. That's what we're doing. That's what we started off doing. And of course, others thought, you will fire everybody. No. First, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't have made any. I always think to myself, these people who say people must be fired, what is going on in their minds? You fire? How? There's a rule of law. So fire everybody, collapse the system in an instant, and then say, no, I failed because there was nobody to work. When you remove a public officer, in fact, any officer, let me tell you now, to bring in another one from outside and get them to a certain level of proficiency will take a minimum of 2 years. In commercial settings, in companies, they say the turnover of staff comes at a huge cost to the company, that to bring in a new employee to fill the role of one who has left or has been fired accounts for about 20% of the turnover of the company per individual. In fact, 20% of the salary. So it's a loss to the company. You are better off if you retain. You are better off if you upskill. Don't come with your preconceptions and pass judgment. It doesn't work like that. I had an opportunity when I came in. I've said to you before, I could have become a wounded hurter. I was wounded myself. I was carrying psychic scars, brother, and ontological bruises. I was carrying those from BURS, from all over, even from yourselves, the media. I was carrying scars. I still have those bruises from you. Vilification, all sorts of untruths and lies. I could have become a wounded hurter. I could have come after all of you because the power is there. Would it make sense? Is it justifiable? What did I choose to become? A wounded healer. That's what I am. I'm a wounded healer. So let's make no mistake about this. The idle talk about people being fired for no cause, for no. If a person deserves to be fired, they've done something wrong, we can establish on evidence, on fact, not supposition, then we will take appropriate measures. But we will not just go recklessly and do what you people think. But then let us instance a situation where I've fired everybody. Who do I have? You know what it says? What people say out there? Now where are the UDC people? Oh, okay. Is that what it is? Cadre deployment, which we saw destroy other governments. We're no longer operating on merit and competence. We're just looking at filiation and affiliation politically. No. It doesn't work like that, good people. We've got to be sober. We've got to be rational. We've got to be factual. We've got to work on data. This is what it is. So let us not transpose our biases and our hatreds on me and expect me to now beam them into the society. It can't work like that. Somebody has to be sober enough and to rise above the fray and be a unifier. So it is merit that matters, and it should matter. Doesn't matter your politics. I don't have to like you. We don't have to like each other. You just have to do your job. And when you do, I can tell you. I've given you an example of a guy, staunch PDP guy, that I thought, hey, this one deserves to be fired. Got in. The contract comes to me for consideration. By that time, the information I'm receiving is that this guy is the best performer. Even the UDC diehards are the ones who were petitioning me and saying, hey, press, we thought this guy, but don't touch him. What did I do? I signed his contract renewal. If I was, what do you think, how you people want me to operate, I would have fired him just for that and ignored his merit. It's about meritocracy. Angola and the refinery. Angola offered us 30% in the Lobito refinery. I'm saying to you, the government of Angola has offered Botswana a 30% stake in the Lobito refinery. I was reminding the president of Angola day before yesterday when I met him that we are still keen. And he said, we've offered to you, we've offered to Namibia and Zambia. And why? Because we have good relations. He came here, President Masisi went, and he says, you must come. You think it's a joke. I'm going there to do what? To floss and enjoy myself. You don't know that when I go to these places, you think, hey, this man is going shopping, he's going. I don't even know any shop. I haven't been out. I get in, I go into meetings, I work until the dead of the night. I get back, the only place I see is the room where I'm sleeping, and as I walk to where I'm supposed to deal with the issues. Since I became president, I've not been in a shop, you know that. You think this is a Christmas. I've told you these things. So don't think it's nice for me. No. There are no niceties here. It's work. There's no holiday. There's no weekend. There's no night. There's no day. You work. Every day until 12 midnight. You work. So there's no... The president of Estonia was telling me in his country the president has no leave, no vacation. By law. I said to him, in my country it's not by law, but it's pretty much the same thing. So it's work. We need to understand this. So the Lobito is in the offing. In fact, Namibia also says we have an opportunity to, they also want another refinery. We need to diversify our sources so that we are fuel safe. So we will do everything that we need to do. The zero tariff situation, what are the obstacles and whether I cannot be ambushed? I've been in many ambushes. I live for ambush. You know, when you anticipate to be ambushed, it is no longer an ambush. Wherever I go, I expect an ambush. And I'm ever ready. Ever ready. On any issue, at any time. I have my wits about me always. I can work my way through as intelligently as possible. Sometimes you throw the punches while you are busy trying to organize your thoughts. But you are busy firing salvos and keeping the enemy at bay. That's what you must do. You must have that intellectual dexterity. So whether anybody tries to ambush, you handle it, deal with it. But on the tariff, the obstacles, the United States president is a deal maker. When you go to him, you must go with a deal. You are negotiating a deal. What is it that he wants? He wants critical minerals, rare earth minerals. You want to say to him, look, let us discuss this in a manner that secures your interests, but also secures our interests. You pay the premium price, we can have an exclusive arrangement with you for these, but you pay a lot, in fact more, because now we are securing you, and you need this for your industry. That's deal making. And we also explain ourselves. The United States is not a producer of diamonds. Diamonds are high value. And so when you look at a trade imbalance, we are bringing in more than you are bringing to our country. It is because we are bringing to our country what you don't have. It is high value. And by the way, many of your businesses and enterprises are operating because of our diamonds. If you stifle us, you kill these businesses. That is why we mobilized them, all of them, United States enterprises. And we said, call the Hill, call Washington, D.C., and tell them that they shouldn't do this. And they were calling, putting pressure. That's how you negotiate. So when we get to the negotiating table, we understand what is at stake. And one of the things that people think happens is, now you have a trip to the United States, you're going to meet Trump. No. Before then, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on. You lobby. You mobilize people you know, and people who know the president. You create an environment. Somebody asked me, do you play golf? I said, no, I don't play golf. I'm not even sure I like it. I play soccer. And he said, you know, if you were a golfer, I could arrange for you to go and play golf with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. I said, damn, you see, it will come from Mahalapi. That boy doesn't have any golf knowledge. The gate, the key is golf. If he was a soccer guy, I would say, let's go and kick some balls, bro. But it can't happen. But I don't think it's a very difficult thing to swing that stick. If one can score penalties, you can score. You can hit a few of those. In fact, I don't even think you need to hit this thing accurately, because they spend the whole day looking for the balls more time looking for the balls in the bushes than putting. So it's fun. I can try it. But there's a lot of preparatory work that goes on. And sometimes when the ministers go, and you don't understand why they are going, it is because they have to be engaged in this preparatory work. Let me tell you, we've lost in the past many things. One of them is the issue of the spectrum for mobile telephony. If you don't attend a meeting of these international organizations where they distribute bandwidth, they don't give you. Others will have and you will not. So when you miss, because the people who don't understand what is at stake are saying don't go, they don't realize when there's no communication and Starlink says the bandwidth is all taken up. Why? Because we missed a meeting where we would have been given more and others took. We must go. Many times it is because of these reasons that even when times are tough, we have to show up there and defend our interests and get a little bit more. You see, this is important. Some of these agencies where elections take place, you go there, you discuss, and somebody is elected, you say to them, come here, you know, I was rooting for you. I want to see at least 10 Botswana employed in this thing. Can you make it happen? This is lobbying. It's not corruption. It's networking. It's lobbying. And you exact benefits for your people, for your country. So sometimes it is critical for these things to happen. There are obstacles, there are obstacles always, but we must, as I say, have the dexterity to deal with them. How long before diamonds yield? It's a very fluid situation. We are seeing improvement. And as I say, there's an uptick in the market. The United States is responding, India, China. So we hope these things take time to be realized, but we are seeing positive developments. And as I said about the 100 days, you get in, you don't have the luxury, you take decisions, some of them. And to not fire people was a decision in and of itself, bold and courageous. It would have been a quick and convenient thing to fire and say, I've done it. Wait, study the terrain, scour it well, understand where the problems are. Sometimes it's because people who are put in certain positions may not be good in those positions, but they may be good elsewhere. You don't fire, you assign on skill, on talent, on commitment. That's what we want from our people. And this government is not for a certain political formation and not others. No, it's for everybody. So you get agitated that people have not been fired on their political colors or whatever other speculations. It shouldn't work like that. We should be careful not to do this. And then the milestones, I've indicated some of them. But the one key one that I want to achieve as quickly as possible is digitalization. Within the 3 years, digitalization, so that you can get your driver's license without having to go in queue. You can get your OMA without having to go in queue. You can get your passport without going to queue. We can have VAT deducted from the point of sale and remitted to the BURS account sitting wherever in real time, so that there's no point of time where there's a cash flow problem. There may be a cash flow problem now because people are buying and the VAT goes into some retailer's account. It sits there until they then remit. In that interregnum, the country doesn't have money. There's a cash flow problem. But the money is there, it's sitting elsewhere. And we can't even track it properly. So digitalization will make sure that we have this seamless platform of operation. It will also make sure, because everything is now digitalized, there's no overbearing human involvement. You look at a person and you take a decision, I don't like them, and you disadvantage them. There will be no such. And people will now be able to track issues personally, themselves, directly. They will know, this project is at this stage, this is what is happening, I can check on this portal, and there it is. And if there's a delay, it should indicate. So every citizen will now be fully clued in on what is happening. That's openness, that's transparency, that's accountability. Not entrepreneurship, something else, spectacularly different. So the digitalization is going to be very important. And the creation of a national payment switch. A transaction doesn't have to go to Chase Manhattan in New York, 3 days, money is spent there, and then it comes here, transaction costs are high. We want to do away with all these things. Some of these things don't come accompanied by a thunderclap at the beginning. The thunderclap will come when you start experiencing it. And as I've said to people in the rural areas, you'll look for me to come and thank me. By that time I may have signed off and said, I've done my part. You see, this is what happens. So these are the deliverables that we want. Once we digitize, digitalization means e-learning can take place. It means when you go to the doctor, if you have to go at all, because digitalization means you can actually virtually communicate with the doctor and not even have to leave your house to go to the doctor, to the health facility. The doctor will talk to you and you will tell the doctor what the problem is, and the doctor will prescribe, will send you a note, and you'll take it and get your medication. And there will be no shortage of medication. Why is there a shortage? It is because we deal through the middle person or a whole chain of middlemen. You want to buy penicillin, talk to this one talks to that one, this one, the manufacturer is sitting somewhere there. By the time you get to the manufacturer, the price here has ballooned. Now, is there a way in which we can call the manufacturer and sit him down and say, manufacturer, you manufacture drugs, don't you? You sell them, and we buy. Why do we have to underwrite you? Why do we have to subsidize you? You need to have your drugs here so that when we want them, you can deliver to us. You, at your cost, not us. Because you want to sell your drugs. You make money from selling. We are here, we are ready to buy. But what we are not prepared to do is for you to have us keep these drugs and they expire in our hands. No, you keep them. You keep them. We will tell you when we want them. In fact, we'll give you an idea. This is what we normally buy per year. Chronic, this, regular, everything. These are our patterns, our spending patterns. Now, you bring these, you keep them somewhere. When we want them, you bring them. And when you've delivered to us and we acknowledge receipt, you invoice us and we'll pay you in 60 days. How difficult is this? Is it impossible to achieve? It's about negotiating with the manufacturer, not some middle person. So tenderpreneurship must die, so that real entrepreneurship must emerge and be supported. So Botswana, you must go back to your farms and grow crops. Why? Because when we step up the national schools feeding program as we envision it, it will be on homegrown produce. You will have a captive market. You will not need to go to a retailer. You'll have to go to an aggregator which takes your produce, pays you on the spot or within a reasonable time, and you go back to your farm. And this aggregator will then do the distribution to the various schools, clinics, and other places. So Botswana must produce. Don't go somewhere and buy stuff and inflate the price and take it to government and milk the fiscus dry. No. If you're a producer, we will buy from you. And if we have to capacitate you enough to become a producer on a model that works, we will do it sustainably. We will do it. And we're going to do it. Those are things that you will see pretty soon. So agriculture is going to explode. It has to. Brazil, right now, which was importing everything, is now an exporter of almost everything. Can we not learn? What is wrong with us? Are we not smart? I refuse to believe those tales. So this is what these milestones will entail: real, tangible results. Digitalization, critical. With digitalization is a revolution in education, a revolution in health, a revolution in service delivery, a revolution in accountability and transparency. You will not have to ask me. You will not have to second guess. You will know in real time what is happening to your country and about your country. That is the biggest, I've called it the pivot point of the economy. That's the fulcrum You can't go anywhere without that. Now we have to plug into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. How do we do that? We need to aggregate our produce. There's a big market somewhere. They want this, we have a little bit of it. Others in other parts of Africa have another bit of it. We just assure quality, we aggregate, we send. And these platforms must work. So we have the digital trade protocol that we concluded in Lusaka, Zambia recently. Meaning, our people should now be able to trade amongst themselves on the African continent. This gives you access to a market of 1.5 billion people. And you say Botswana has no market, has no access to a market, because you've closed yourself in. Need to open up your horizons so that you access all these. And other countries also want to do this. So we need to be agile, we need to move and move fast. Diversification involves all these things. We can diversify within the mining space, and we will. We'll diversify into other areas, but we will also diversify into the technology space. We have to do that. That's why our education system must speak to some of these issues. There are others who think that the evolving, the unfolding world means now at institutions of learning, kill the humanities. No, you can't. You can't. The humanities are important. They must be there. Otherwise you have a society that is a society of automatons. Don't atomize society. Let society breathe. Let it be vibrant. So you need the humanities. So let's not take an approach that unduly instrumentalizes education and corporatizes it too much. No, education must serve liberation of the mind more than anything else. Now, the backbone of diversification is infrastructure, digital infrastructure, physical, climate resilient infrastructure. And what does it entail? We're going to have to invite people who have the money and say, here's a project, give us your proposal. Then we get 5 of the best in the world. They give us their proposals and we say, no, we pick this one. Do this project at your own cost, mobilize your own money, do this project. And somewhere along the way, after you've recovered your investment, we take it. What will we have? We'll have the facility, the infrastructure. So when it comes to roads, we'll have to toll some of them so that they generate their own. We pay toll fees across the border. You people don't complain. Right across the border, 70 rands, 13 rands, all over the place, and you are happy to do it. You come this side and you can move all the way from here to Francistown and you say, there are potholes. Yes, there are potholes. No ring mukauling. Ati bakang roterna likeletso. Tisa ditsompelo wa gam gadiyo. So re tlo go dintsha rotlhe ditsompelo tse. Kapo nyenyane jo re ka bogona mme re bo re tlhomamisa gore ditamelo tse di nna teng ebile ke tsa boleng jo bo go godimo. Re moswane ene na ntheilare. Moswane re moswane are. Koma tse a mangwe ba tsa tanka hela 200 liters ba e baka ha ga tsela bo ba tsa engwe ba e baka bo ba ba le pako ha gare bo mapodisi ba nna ha ba duedisa batho rona re palwa ke eng re le ha tsele tshone re sa dirialo ke bo ke mora ka re nya mo etsa boele go utswela batho mare ba akanye tsone di tsela pele ha re sena go di bakanya di le tsa boleng jo bo go godimo Motswana ha le ba tsela ile ene o ta bona gore tsela e ka ha in thusang ka tebile ke tsama go sena di khomo go sena di kotsi ye ke tshwantse 50 pula yo kana 20 pula yo kana 10 pula nya ke montshe ebile ke room a bona boleng. People are willing to sacrifice for quality, so let's give them quality. Ke sone se re se losang sone. So le one foreign direct investment ke buile gore go na le tlhokang di foreign direct investment tse ke di itseng na di tharo go na le mo go teng market seeking go na le raw material seeking go bo go nna le efficiency seeking. Digitalization will make us very efficient, very. So others who seek efficiencies, they should be able to run here. The market is expansive, 1.5 billion. Within a radius of 1,000 kilometers of where we are sitting, we have access to about 500 million people. DRC, that's a market. So don't look at Botswana as servicing only Botswana. But Limibarona must know that the market now is outside. Kona le Botswana ba bangwe ba setse ba service some market on the border ya Zambia le DRC. We do go to Kasumbalis, where people trade $2 billion in cash every day. $2 billion cash. Botswana ba kae ba ba gone go. Di components tsa Botswana tse ke di itseng gore di paid engwe isa palage engwe metsi bottled water, big market. Ba bangwe ba kae ba lebile gore ke government ke go fola ka enveloponyana. No, be more broad in your thinking and be more ambitious in your imagination. DBS lessons from our experiences in mining are many. One, we've not exported our skills and expertise. When it comes to extraction, expertise in mining, the actual extraction of minerals from the ground, we have the best in terms of experts and skill. We have the best. Except we haven't taken them outside. I met a company ya Botswana ba ba renyano ba ko DRC. Ba simolla go phuthuloga yana. Because mabaka a re tlama yana. So we need to learn to create companies that can compete globally. Ditswakwana. We must have a Botswana homegrown multinational corporation or a whole constellation of them. Di rakoma hatsingama. Botswana Vaccine Institute. South Africa is buying from us in huge volumes. Because they tried on their own, they realized they don't have the expertise and the skills and the technology. We hold the technology. Now they have had to come to us. We need to scale up. Not just Monuhel. We need to go to other places and set up there and manufacture and service other markets. Global companies, and the other thing, which is a mistake we've made as a country, we've given prospecting licenses to individuals. Our people took the licenses 3 years renew. What does that mean? If there's a mineral deposit underground, 3 years nothing is happening, jobs are not being created. Because this person who has the license is speculating. So we need to revisit this very issue and ask whether this is the best way of handling our mineral wealth. This country is rich, make no mistake. In terms of minerals, diamonds and everything else, huge. But we are why? Because we've not become creative in thinking about the wealth that we have. It doesn't serve us or in we are not even trading. You can actually create financial instruments and monetize these minerals before you even market them. So what do some of these companies do? They come here, they do a little prospecting, they go out into the capital markets and say, and people give them money. And they don't do anything. They've made the money. Rona bemba dilo tse re ntse ha re ipotlere ra nnetse go lla re le ha tsele Jones patche se makgwa. Ke rona re se ira makgwa ka go tlhoka dikakanyo tse di ka re tsweletsa. Re tlhokana le gore re boele. Jaanong ha re santse re baakanya dilo tse. Ga gore gore maduo a tsa go rogile. Mme ha re ka se ka ra simolla go dira jalo gompieno. Le mo dingwageng tse 10 le tse 20 tse di tla maduo ga ana go tla. So dikgato dingwe di tshwanetse di tsewe gompieno. Tse di tla dirang gore seemo se tokagale e seng tsatsi leno e seng ka moso gongwe e seng ngwagao mme mo go tse pedi tse tharo tse di tla dilo di bo di simolla go itshetlela mo e tla reng ha go tsena ba bangwe le bone ba itlhele jaanong diemo di ntse jang ke sone se re tshwanetse re se dira sport tourism kana no a kere le bua le sportsman go botlhokwa gore re lemoge mosola wa sport re tlhaloganye gore go kgona go thusa to mold our young people, teach them how to play together, to work together, and a lot of things are going to change. The intervention in the education space that we are bringing soon, once the digital platforms are up and running, they say it will free up more or less last school 4 hours. Correct. You don't need the hour. You will be able to release 4 hours. Meaning the contact time for learning is reduced by 4 hours every day. Learning is enhanced astronomically. The learning outcomes are much, much better, spectacularly better for less time. What does that time avail itself for? For sport. So bana ba ka tshameka kana kwa school. A go toka go gona le after school. No, ke school, part of the school curriculum. Sport, play soccer, an hour or two, go back to class and read a few things and you go home. You don't need to be there the whole day struggling. But digitalization, the pivot is right there. So this is what we are trying to do. And dilote khadika ke tsanna go sena the backbone infrastructure. Khadika ke tsa diragala. Didinte madu a tsona a khatlisa ebila tsabakela ha di ka diragala mme gore di diragale gona le dingwe tse di seng monate gongwe tse di sa khate tse di tshwantse re di dire ha re di dirile tsone tse re di kgonne ya go thoma misetsa yanong mongwe le mongwe ta ba bina le nosi mongwe le mongwe kwa lente and e-gaming as well. E-gaming, content creation, monetization. You can't do these things all the time. You can't. So you need high-speed internet. So ke tsone di kgwetho tse le diemo tse ba ga rona tse ke dumelang gore re tshwanetse re di tlhaloganye mme re tlo go di kgona ke a le thoma misetsa ke re tlo go di kgona gape le one melao ya rona le di tsamaiso go tlo gore di hetoge ska ra ganela mo segologolong se sa re berekela e ra o ntse o le no se bo akanya gore mme gone mo ke ntseng ke go dira le ha go tlise maduonyana gore a nne a botoka go gaisa ke ha ke ba ka ntseng Motswana gongwe le gongwe kwa lente o se wa akanya entrepreneurship ye o re batla go entsha mo lenaneong gotlele re batla producers re batla manufacturers re batla people who add value locally and create jobs for themselves and for others. We want to empower communities. So gompieno mo meletsi yo mongwe wa go thule block na nthare o o kgona go tshwara diphuthego yaanong a le ko Thuli block le batho ba le ko Europe a dirisa maranyane a Starlink a re ha dira jalo ba moraya ba re o mo Europe ra nya ke ko Botswana nya internet ya go me siame thata me ke gone wa bona re dilo tse dintsi di re busetsa ko morago so ha re ka di kgona tsonetse re tla bo re kgonne tse di amanang le tsone go botlhokwa ba ga rona. And the biggest diamonds for us are our young people. They must know that. You are the diamond.